Hello and good day to you, my beautiful friends. I do hope you are well. Welcome to episode 36 of Cross Button VR, our journey into the world of PS VR2, a show for those who want to share in our newfound enthusiasm for the world of VR. Now, I'm your host, Laurie, but for anyone who may have forgotten, I just want to let you know that we are part of the Cross Players. So, if you like what you hear, do check out thecrossplayers.com for links to all of our content and our Discord. And if you like this show, you should really check out Crosscast, our weekly pod that covers the full spectrum of gaming. And also this week, we've just launched a new Nintendo-focused podcast hosted by the lovely Smark, Ethan, and Tyler. So, yeah, check that out as well if you're into Nintendo, which, I mean, let's face it, you probably are if you're listening to this because everyone loves Nintendo. Now, it is an honour to...
Do they?
All right, hold on a minute. I haven't introduced you yet. Because I know who I'm joined by today. It's giving it away. It is an honour to be joined by the most Scottish influencer in the metaverse. It's Alex.
Hello.
Hello. I don't have to say one of today because I can say for sure there was no one else out there that's as Scottish as you are, Alex.
No, just me. Just the two of us tonight, Laurie.
Is that dressing gown you're wearing?
No, it's a nice furry hoodie that keeps.
It looks very warm.
It's a little bit chilly.
Yeah, you've been on the wall tonight, haven't you? Doing a shift on the wall.
Yeah, that's it.
Patrolling the north. No, Ben. This is my fault actually this time because we had to move our recording night because I had family staying over on Friday night, so we're recording on Sunday night now. And Ben has gone gallivanting off to some Halloween party, so we'll have to get a thumbnail of him in fancy dress that we can use, or a picture of him in fancy dress that we can use for the episode thumbnail. Maybe we'll see. Otherwise, Alex is going to have to take a silly picture of himself wearing the headset whilst dressed as Dracula or something. Good. Right, what are we doing today? Well, there's actually been loads of games that have been released, so we're going to talk about those, really. So, yeah, let's go straight in. Before that, though, we're going to talk about Vertigo 2, which I think we knew already was going to be delayed. They put out a statement this week, though, saying that it's still going to be coming this year and a new date is coming soon, as if that's like, excited for the announcement that a date is coming soon. But there you go. So, yeah, it's good to see that it's not too far away because it does look like a very promising release. Well, we know it's going to be good because it's already been out on other platforms and it's very highly guarded. So unless they completely drop the ball, and the fact they're releasing it suggests that's not going to happen. So that's good. You've got that one. You've got that one on your wish list, haven't you, Alex?
I do. But it's as you say. We know this game. We know the pedigree of this game. I'm already getting a bit tongue tied. But there's no point taking any chances. There's so many games out at the minute that if your game needs a bit more time, take that bit more time. Don't rush it, because it very much feels at the moment the worst thing we could be doing is rushing games, because it seems to be happening quite a lot and people's tolerance for it seems to be dropping. So take the time needed. Best decision they could take.
Yeah. Well, one game which has been dated and we do know is coming on the 7th of December is Arizona Sunshine 2. I think this has had some, I don't know if it's been some more hands-on impressions or some other previews have kind of been released this week as well, but this is shaping up to be something very, very good. I think it got the release date trailer, didn't it, as well, which I was very distressed to see that poor dog on some operating table covered in blood, which doesn't bode well for the dog.
No, it's not looking good for the poor doggy.
No,
but the game is looking good for the game, but it's not looking good for the dog.
But I thought the way they were talking about, your dog might die, made me think, well, could it die at any point in the story? But the fact they've put that in the trailer makes you think, actually, maybe it's like a scripted moment, and then you kind of patch it up and it's fine again. So maybe that kind of they're just doing a tease there. They've been teasing all along. But probably a lot of people like me are going to play this game to completion just to see the fate of this dog, which is very clever marketing on their part.
Yeah. No, it's one of those we've all been looking forward to for quite a wee while, I think. And it's like, is it actually going to hit 2023? But yeah, and it is, and it's looking like it could be a really good Christmas game.
Yeah, it just looks tonally really fun. We've got these zombie games, but it seems like the zombies, they don't seem too threatening. They seem to be quite slow moving, just as a sort of way to set up some sort of comedy, like shoving a grenade in one's mouth and stuff, and then watching what happens, sort of stuff, rather than being sort of chasing at you and having to frantically to shoot with them in a kind of panicked panic thing. So yeah, I really like the tone of this one. It looks lovely, and the original Arizona Sunshine was very highly regarded. I think it won several VR Game of the Years when it came out. So I know there's a lot of people that look forward to this one, and I am too. Yeah, he's nodding for audio listeners there. Alex is nodding.
Sorry, I thought I said yes. Did you not hear me? Sorry.
Okay, so next up, bit of news, we had a update for the wonderful Synth Riders that you and I are both big fans of. They had a spooky update. It's not the spookiest of updates, I've got to say, because I have downloaded it, I have played it, because any excuse to jump back into Synth Riders is all I need. And the spookiness, well, correct me if there's more that I've not picked up on, but there's the bats that now fly around the home menu screen on top of that tower block in the city. There's little bats going around everywhere now, which is it's very spooky. And then there's a new song they've added, which I guess is kind of spooky. I don't know.
It's like comedy. It's comedy spooky rather than spooky.
It's kind of like what would you call it? It's kind of like a swing electro pop kind of jazz type number. Swing. I think. I have done that. I think it makes you feel spooky because it makes you dance like you're doing a kind of zombie dance and stuff. The way it kind of your hands just to go like this and stuff, which I thought was very clever.
Yeah.
You're doing a kind of zombie dance. It's a typically catchy tune from them, so it's well worth picking that up. It's quite hard to there's no. If you jumped into the game and you hadn't seen the tweet or something, there was nothing. I was like looking around thinking, where is this? Where is it? This doesn't like direct you to it very well. So it's in the.
It told me as soon as I went in.
Oh, did you? Okay, I saw a thing at the bottom. We scrolling through the tracks, and I did see the one pop up saying it was new. So that's why I kind of knew to find it. But yeah, I didn't get a pop up saying, "Oh, this is the."
I was going to say it told me as well, but I did get a pop up telling me, but I also did it on another device. So.
You bastard.
Maybe that was
there was one, and I just.
There might have been. You maybe just missed it.
I am very stupid. So cool. Now you spotted this one. This is a game that's out now. Just got a shadow drop for NFL Pro Era 2. Have you? Yeah, I saw you. Sure, you tweeting that one, Alex. Is this on your radar? Or is this one that you?
No, I know a lot of people liked the first one, and the second one I think it's already been out on the Quest and on PC potentially. So this is it getting. I'm not sure it's out yet, or is it just coming out? I think it was maybe out the day this podcast comes out, so will be out now. But I've seen a lot of people playing it on other devices and really enjoying it, and I think if you liked the first one, this seems to have good improvements for the second. So I think if you like NFL, this is a game that tends to go down quite well. So yeah, it's
good. Okay, well, I have nothing to comment on NFL. We need to get one of our. It's
too complicated.
Yeah, but I mean, it'd be quite cool to play it in VR. I can imagine. Yeah, like, that'd be pretty intense. So it's interesting, like sports games. They could do like a FIFA. Are there any kind of football games or soccer games that are in VR first person? Because that would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, give a wee kick. I suppose that would be hard to track your feet and not your hands.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you could do skateboarding, I'm sure they can come up with something. Or even if it's you could just, I don't know, you could play it in a normal, FIFA style view, but just for moments of it, you could zoom in to be like, I don't know, if you're taking a penalty or something, or just you can still control it with the controller, but just you could zoom in and just be in on the pitch. That would be awesome. Come on, that would be cool.
Notice a game on the Quest the other day, and I know this is not to talk about the Quest, but it was the opposite. I know, but you were a goalkeeper, so like the balls were coming at you, and you had to save them. So like the other side of it. So that's the closest to a football game I've seen so far.
Okay. Well, it depends, I suppose, what team you're a goalkeeper for, because you could be like goalkeeper for someone against you could be like the Man City goalkeeper playing against Man U today and just not much to do.
Nothing to do.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on before we upset all the Man U fans.
Sorry, Phil. Ha
Haaland. Anyway, next up, the other update we've had just teased today, which I thought we're going to have to mention this because we have to have our weekly Masternoid update segment, and the devs have been teasing there's going to be quite a big update, and they seem to have singled out as especially something that you're going to be into there, because obviously we know the devs are big fans of the show, and they said, yeah, Alex, you're going to love this one. So yeah, you looking forward to this, Alex? Are you getting very excited?
I mean, I was going to say I really needed an excuse to get back into this game. But
what do you think? What do you think it's going to be?
I think I know what it's going to be, because I think it was one of the things that they mentioned when they were on. So I think this could be the Daily Blast.
Okay. So that's like the daily challenge mode. It's like,
Yeah,
right, go,
daily
go and do this.
challenge, one chance. Because they launched it with the Eminem one shot. I'm sure the video they put up was Eminem one shot video. So like your one
You
one
get one life to
chance.
do it. Oh wow!
Yeah,
I can see you're just going to make that a part of your day, aren't you?
yeah. First thing in the morning, Masternoid on, then set me up. Good score, set me up for the day.
Yeah, I mean, you might want to do it like the end of the day, just in case you start at the start of the day, and then I see you've just lost 4 hours. Like you
But
did
you only get
realize,
to
like
do it. I
someone's.
think you literally only get to do it
No, but you'll
once.
be in it then. You'll be in it. I'll just have a quick go. I'll just check, make sure I'm still number one on every course. Oh, wait, hold on a minute. Some fucker over here is beating my top score. You'll say, and then that'll be it. You'll spend
And
the
there
next
we go.
4 hours
I'm
just trying
gone.
to
Yeah.
reclaim it. Yeah.
Particularly now that I've
Meanwhile,
got 2 sets of top scores to chase. So
oh Christ, so here we go. Is this going to be every news? Yeah, but also
no.
Quest.
No. Yeah. I haven't
Have I
played the
told
Quest
you about the
version yet.
time I played the Meta Quest version of this?
Yeah, sorry. I won't mention it again.
Sorry, not sorry. No, it's fine. I'm just jealous of all your mixed reality excitement you're having. Okay, there's been some games released, some big games released this week. Let us start with Ghostbusters, which is probably the most kind of high profile of the releases, I would say. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think it's the one that everyone's been looking forward to.
It's certainly the one that Sony have been pushing, because obviously it's Sony Pictures own the rights to the Ghostbusters IP, so
it's published
tied in with them.
It's also published by Sony Pictures VR. So
yeah, that's confusing, isn't it? Not PlayStation Studios, but Sony Pictures. Shame it does not have the same badge of quality that comes with a PlayStation Studios release, because it has not landed too well, it's fair to say. Do you agree?
Yes. Unfortunately, I played it, and I played so I played it on my own, and I played it on my own, and I'm not gonna go back down that story again. And I've played in multiplayer with Reese, who was on with us last week as well. And I've really enjoyed what I've played. There are some bugs in there. There are a few little issues, but they're not issues in terms of gameplay issues. They are, but it's not like game breaking, and it's not in terms of you actually playing the game. It was more audio, and it was probably more immersion breaking than game breaking. So there was like certain sections, there's different game modes that you can play, and it's all, you've got your story modes as your single player. I think there's 7 or 8 missions to go through, like the single player campaign. I haven't done any of that yet. And then your multiplayer is kind of broken up into these different missions, and you get 4 different types of missions. So you have on the clock, which is basically gives you 10 minutes, and you need to go and clear so many sections of ghosts within that 10 minutes. You then have one which is like an exorcism, so you have to use your little radar thing, which totally eluding me the name of the device, and then go and find these items which have been possessed by ghosts, bring them back, do an exorcism in them, and then you've 4 to get, and there's a final ghost that you need to eliminate. And when we got to that final ghost, it was clear like the audio wasn't working quite right in terms of what we were getting back from the boss, because you almost felt like you weren't engaging with it, but you knew you were because you were hitting it. You could see the meter going down, but there was just some sort of audio bug there that meant you weren't getting the right feedback that you should have been getting, which was a shame. And at points for both me and Reese, like the audio was just dropping out. So it's more, the bugs I've seen has all been audio related. Everything else seems fine. It looks nice. It plays nice.
What are the settings when you play this game? What are the kind of settings that you're playing it in? Is it just like New York, like libraries and sewers and stuff?
Yeah,
like
I think the one we were in this afternoon was like going through a museum, and then you were on the rooftops, and it was just like different parts of the city that you're going through, and like whether it's like a warehouse or things like that. So,
do they have a bit in the game where you're just back at their fire station base?
Yeah,
HQ,
that's basically that's your hub. So you're in the hub, and you can go and like change your outfit. You can upgrade your proton pack and things like that.
And is it great for kind of Ghostbusters fans? Is it worth it for that alone? Because I don't think of like the when the PSVR1 launched, the one thing I did play on that before selling it was the Batman experience. And for that, just going down into the Batcave, and just looking around the Batcave and just wandering around that was like amazing. That made the whole experience worth it just for that. And I imagine, does this have that same magical nostalgia for fans?
There is a bit of that because even then, so you're in the fire station, you've got the Ecto one, then you've got all the different bits, and then you've got like when you find the ghosts, there's
Hmm.
like a bit that comes up at the side, and it's almost like an encyclopedia of the ghosts that you found, but it gives you a bit of lore about each of the ghosts and stuff like that, and so there is definitely a little bit of nostalgia there, like the theme music and all that because it's licensed is all there. Like
Hmm.
whether there's enough there for the actual game itself, I'm not sure there's that many references to the lore of the movies or anything like that, but it's certainly recognisable as
Have they got any of the
Ghostbusters.
original characters, cast
No,
voices and stuff?
certainly not that I've noticed.
No,
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 you're
no.
not like any of the main. You're not like the original Ghostbusters or anything. It's just different characters that's in it.
Hmm.
Whether that's in, as I say, I've not done any of the story missions or anything like that yet, so I don't know what's in
You've not done
there.
the story missions, okay?
No,
You just
so I've only done the multiplayer stuff. I haven't done the like the proper story missions,
okay.
whatever
Well,
they
I mean,
are.
this game is kind of probably worrying signs just from this alone. There was no kind of reviews before. I think the codes were given out to uh, people, players on the day it launched. Is that right? There was no early access to,
There was
to the game.
there was very if any, it was like very few codes were given out pre-launch because we didn't get codes till post-launch. We were lucky enough to get codes, but there was a lot of people much bigger than us that didn't. So that kind of says it all, as you say. It
Yeah, it's just a
feels
shame that they just wanted it out there for people to be like, "Oh, Ghostbusters! I'll buy that," before there were any reviews. Which that's like kind of pretty just scummy, really. But I feel like people should just don't play this game with the publishers. Just wait until you get through. You can't get refunds on digital games on PlayStation, so just like this.
not a bit.
There's such a question mark over whether these games are going to be polished at launch. I think it's just always better to wait and just hear people's impressions, read some reviews if they're available.
Yeah,
Because otherwise, you risk handing over your money, and it could be that you read the reviews and you can actually there's issues with it, but I don't mind that, and that's great. Play the game, enjoy it. But it's some of these games are launching in a pretty rough state at the moment, so I'd certainly be wary.
I think on the plus side, I would say though the issues I've experienced don't feel like issues that would be that difficult to fix.
Hmm.
It just feels like little things here and there.
What
I
do you
think.
feel like? I've seen Reese mention that it gets quite repetitive quite quickly after playing a couple of hours.
Well, I
like
can
the loop
imagine
of
there's
it.
only, as I say, there's only the 4 different modes in terms of the multiplayer. So I think and I think 2 of them feel good and 2 of them not so good. So if if you only like certain ones of them, I think you could get a little bit bored quite quickly.
Mhm.
But I think if there's a group of 3 or 4 of you playing, I think you'll have a good fun playing it. So it's a funny one. There is more content coming down the line. I know the edition that they were trying to get you to pre-order came with the season pass and stuff, so there'll be more modes and more missions coming. But again, it's one of those that feels like you should maybe have been a wee bit more there to begin with. It's a shame. It
Yeah,
feels
that's a
like
shame.
if I'm totally honest, I said this to Reese when I was playing this afternoon. And I've seen a few people having this sentiment across there, but it feels like Sony's forced this out the door. Like, so not Sony Studios, as you say, but Sony Pictures VR. It feels like they've forced the release to hit like the kind of Halloween window to make the most of Ghostbusters for Halloween, rather than maybe
Yeah, it's not
Endream's
really
being quite happy to
it's not
finish
really a
and get it
Halloweeny
out.
sort of property, is it? I mean, I know there are ghosts in it, and it's
But it
not
kind of is
really
a wee
horror,
bit,
is it?
isn't it? No, it's not horror,
It is,
but
but it's kind of, I don't know. It just seems quite loosely tied to
it feels like
being
they,
kind
they
of
wanted to
scary.
hit the release date rather than hit the quality that they get out, and I don't think doesn't
Yeah,
feel
and
like
it's a
that's
shame
down to
because
End Dreams and that.
well, exactly, because End Dreams are one of the most, they made Synapse, Christ's sake. They know what they're doing when it comes to making VR games. So it's sort of just, I bet they're disappointed.
Yeah.
But
But it's not
there you
bad.
go.
That's the one that, and I want to reiterate that point. It's not a bad game. It is not bad. It's maybe just not what people hoped for.
Okay. Well, let's move on because we've got a lot of other games that have released this week. It has been a really cracking week for releases. And you and I have both been playing Journey to Foundation.
Yes.
This is out now. It came out last week. So it's, I well, it's interesting on this. I'm kind of really conflicted on this one. I do like it a lot. I'm trying to work out how much I like it, and it's such a game that is so tied into its story that I feel like I cannot really pass judgment on this until it's told me the story.
Yeah.
What I would say, obviously it's based on Foundation, the books by is it Isaac Asimov? Sorry, um, based on the books there, Foundation, and obviously it's been made into an Apple TV series in recent years, which has been the first couple of series of that are out now, and it's very 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 deep sci-fi lore, very very deep complex sort of storyline that spans centuries and centuries, and it's telling the story about this galactic empire set in the sort of future sci-fi world where there's I think there's like millions of planets that live under this galactic empire. And then there's this mathematician, Harry Seldon, that predicts the end. The empire is going to fall and send all of humanity into a dark age. It's going to last for 10,000 years, but he's going to go off and create the Foundation, which is going to be some record of civilization that he's going to try and use to sort of like kickstart, reboot civilization, so that it's only going to last for 1,000 years rather than 10,000 years. So that's kind of the premise of it. And so you've got kind of the Empire versus Foundation sort of premise set up, and yeah, so that's the kind of setting for it. And this game, though, it's kind of, if anyone's played Hubris, it's very very similar to that, with a bit of added mind control, and a lot more kind of dialogue, interrogation, just dialogue choices and things. So it's kind of, imagine it's kind of like sort of Starfield mixed with Hubris, if that makes sense.
It's, I think for me, this game, and I get what you mean about it being conflicted, because you look at it and sometimes I'm looking at this game like, this looks really pretty, and then other times I look at it and I'm like, this looks really ugly. Like it's a funny one because the character models and everything and some of the holograms and things like that look really really good, and then some of the backgrounds look terrible. Like,
yeah, really really bad.
It's weird. Like,
because you're starting off, you're on that space station, so you're in quite small enclosed environments, and then you go onto that planet, and you're going through kind of rocky canyons, so you can't see much, and then it does open out into a bit. You're like, oh my god, yikes! And compare it to, there's a bit in Hubris that I kind of tweeted out because it's just absolute George hopping view that you've got. It's kind of like you are standing on an alien world, and Red Matter does it brilliantly as well, where you just stood there looking out over this planet. And then this game, they have a bit like that, and it's like, oh my god, because you've got this kind of very low resolution background.
Yeah,
it's clearly a flat background, with just a few kind of like rocks and stuff in front of it.
It's just very odd. Like, it very much feels like it's not first in its class at any of its individual elements, but when you draw it all together, it actually comes out into a fairly well presented package. Like, not so much in terms of looks, but the whole package. Like, so as you say, the mind control stuff is pretty good when you get used to like the hand movements. The story certainly is its key thing, and I think that story's got somewhere to go. And as you say, until we get to the end of it, it's going to be hard to judge it, but it certainly started really well. The gunplay I didn't like to begin with, but then as that progressed and some of the upgrades to the gun, it felt much better, and it just kind of moves on. But yeah, sorry, I've interrupted you.
Yeah, no, because you've got this shooting mechanics. There's sort of climbing, some sort of climbing, VR climbing. Again, it's very like Hubris, where you're trying to scale around these environments, climbing up walls, and even you're kind of sort of walking along these kind of ropes and stuff above your head. And then you've got, on a space station, buttons you have to interact with and press and things, and shooting bits. That the shooting I thought was pretty bad, to be honest, but it's fine. I suppose it just kind of gives you something to do.
It certainly gets better. I would say it does get better as you upgrade the gun and you've got something more to aim at, and they become less spongy. I think that was the thing at the very beginning. It was like you took about 15 hits to knock one of the enemies down. Like,
yeah, and so it does all these things. Like the graphics aren't brilliant. They're fine. The shooting's not brilliant. It's fine. But the story, and this is my problem with Hubris. When I played it, I was like, this is an amazing game, but the story is just, I couldn't care less what's going on here. There's no interest in it at all. There was not really any story in that was worth caring about. and that for me is the important thing. So I'm happy to play this, and even if it does all this other stuff, is like, nah, okay. I really love the kind of world of Foundation, and this story right from the start is interesting, and it pulls me in. It sets up an interesting tale. You're going to recover. There's someone from I think it's a princess in part of the empire that's been kidnapped by people. So you start off on a space station, you're interrogating people, trying to find leads for who might have been in on the kidnapping. And then you're following leads to try and track her down. So it's an interesting setup, and it's cool doing that stuff in VR, interrogating people, reading their minds. So that side's all good of it. So yeah, again, this game's come out, and I've not really. Well, a lot of the reviews I've read actually have said similar things. There's lots of issues with it, but it does tell a story. And through not wanting to spoil anything, and what we're discussing here story-wise is just the opening premise. So we can't. I haven't played enough of it to be able to spoil anything. But the reviews I've seen of it said, the story is the thing that redeems it, and the thing that sees it through, and that stops it from being just kind of forgettable, really. So I do want to play it because I do want to see how this story pans out in the world.
Yeah. And just to mention another couple of the features, like that makes really good use of the eye tracking. I think using the eye tracking to pick the different options in terms of the conversation and stuff makes it quite seamless. So it's not like you're pointing to find the right one. You're eye tracking to pick your option. It's just a case of then hitting X to select it. So it's very quick in terms of making those options to make it feel more natural. Mm-hmm. And all the options you're picking are then voice acted.
And also on that, I love the fact that you can do some dialogue, but you can also look at objects around you. And if you look at those, the conversation could just be like, "Hey, that's a nice thing over there. Tell me about this." And that's just a natural thing that you're playing in VR, and you can just like, "Oh, here's an option of text. Here's an option of text." But actually, I just want to look at this shiny thing over here, and let's talk about that instead.
What's that?
It's good. I also like the fact that you're sort of mentor, handler type, superior person that's there on your earpiece, and they're introducing you. He's voiced by the same guy that did Sensei Ishigara from Ghost of Tsushima. So he's got great voice. He's a great actor. Great, he always played great characters. So he's in it, and he is quite a big part. So anyone that's a fan of Ghost of Tsushima's Sensei Ishigara, you can play this and listen to him again. So yeah, I think it's one you and I think we'll try and keep playing it, and I think once we've finished it, we can give some more proper sense of whether or not it's worth playing or not.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, well, let's move on. The next game that's released, and the reviews for this have just been landed today, as people listen to this, is Foglands, which we have been playing. And we've actually got an interview next week with the game director, Sam Warner. So he's the CEO and founder and the game director, founder of World Told Entertainment, the developers of this. So he's actually going to be coming on the show next week, which is very exciting. But yeah, in the meantime, though, we have been playing this game. And what do you think, Alex?
I'm quite impressed. So this is one of those that was shown at an early state of play. I think it was one of the state of plays just after.
Yeah, they did a little.
Just after, it was the one that just either just as or just after the PS VR2 was launched. And it's a shame that Ben's not here, because I think probably me and you would both describe this as a Ben game. This is very much a Ben game. But you're basically the Foglands and almost these different biomes underground where you're trying to fight this giant beast. Ultimately, your goal is to do, like, it's a roguelite, ultimately. Roguelite, I think, because you can get upgrades and stuff through these Foglands to essentially take down this big beast. And I'm not going to give away too much because there is a bit of a story in there, but you're helped by this stranger who you meet along the way, who gives you different cards. You've seen the cards bit element of it. I'm like, oh, how's the cards going? But the cards are essentially your buffs. So you find these cards as you're going through, and they'll give you different powers, whether that's to get an extra bullet if you take down an enemy, or kind of use different sort of like telekinesis powers, not telekinesis, but different. There's basically 3 different categories of upgrades you can get. One's on your weaponry, one's on your defense, and I can't off the top of my head now remember what the third one is because we've only been playing this today, so it's quite. It should be more fresh, but I'm not as probably far into it as I'd hoped it would have been. But it all feels quite nice. So they describe it as atmospheric, and it is atmospheric. You're in these kind of dark. They're not dark; they're more like foggy, as a Fogland, as you would expect, like areas. Coming up against different types of enemies. You can also come across like other other runners of the past that you might come into can progress the story. There's things to find, things to collect.
Yeah, I mean that is the gameplay loop. Is you're going down these
Yeah.
mines, you are shooting enemies that are coming at you. You have a revolver gun that you're shooting things with at the start of these, and you pick up other guns, and you can buy other guns after a few runs. And you're collecting scrap metal, and then when you die, you get brought back by this kind of shadowy figure, mysterious figure. He brings you back to your hub, and you can spend the things that you've collected, upgrade your weapons, go back in again, stronger, get further, stronger enemies, repeat. Classic roguelike structure.
And if you like that type of structure, you're going to like this game. Ultimately, I think that it plays well, looks nice, no issues with it. I think they've spent the right time in the right places. The one thing I'd say, because this is also a flat FPS game, I did think, well, I'm going to try the flat FPS game, thinking, it might be a wee bit easier than that. It definitely feels better in VR for me. It feels more like it's built for VR, and then I thought and we can ask them about this next week. I think it'd be quite interesting to understand where the kind of flat version of the game came from, but it felt more natural in VR because it was like, or maybe it's just the fact we're that akin to playing in VR now. We want to go and grab things to pull them down, and we want to interact with them with our hands rather than press a button to do it. Because I'm like, why is this not working? But I'm quite impressed. I think if you've been looking forward to this game and you like this type of game, you will really like this.
I have to shout out for the reload mechanic on the gun, which I really like. You press triangle to sort of pop open your revolver, you pick up a roll of ammo, you drop it in, and then you do a really satisfying flick to snap the gun shut and to load it. It's just a satisfying mechanic there. That flick of the gun is great, especially when you're in the moment. You just flick and then fire at someone that's running towards you. It makes you feel so badass. I love that.
And I'm going to give them a shout out for this because it's got an easy mode. Well, it's not an easy mode, but it basically has a kind of normal roguelike mode, and it has a story mode, so the enemies, you take less damage and the enemies take more damage to make it a wee bit easier for you if you just want to progress, which I think is always welcome.
Yeah, and it says that when you get the choice when you start the game, is that you can just play in normal, as challenging mode, designed for those who like a challenge, and then you can just choose. You can have a story mode just for those who want to just experience the story where things are a bit easier and stuff. It's like, that's great. Just let people play how they want to play it, because a lot of roguelikes, I think a lot of people do get pushed away from them because they start and they can be quite brutal to start off with until you've put a bit of time into it. To getting that balance is so crucial for games like this. But no, I think it's really good. I think it looks really nice. It plays really nicely. Like, they've got all the comfort options. And now when I jump into it, I just know comfort options. I want smooth turning. I want fast, smooth turning. I want to be able to run. So it's all there. That's all great. And yeah, the aiming and shooting works satisfyingly. It works well. Especially like you sort of close one eye and then sort of look down the barrel of the revolver and just pick out targets. It does, the aiming does work really nicely. I also like throwing at things as well. When you pick something up and you want to throw it, you can throw things at quite far distances and just look at where you want it to go, and it will go on target. Which normally, if you were just throwing stuff normally in VR, it could just go all over the place. It would take like loads of times to get it. But this, you just need to look at what you want to throw something at, and it will go there if you do a throwing motion, which just works really well as well. It just feels really natural, so that's good as well.
And you can use those items as melee weapons as well. So the bottles, there's a lot of bottles and stuff to pick up. It's not just shooting. You can melee your opponents with the various items you can find looking about too, which is good.
Yeah. So yeah, I think this is going to do quite well, this one.
Yeah. I agree.
Okay, well, let's talk about our next game, and that's quite the biggest one. But before we do talk about that, Alex, I just wanted to cover, you've been playing, and I think finished now, Seventh Guest?
I have. Yes.
You have. So now you've finished that. What can you give your final closing thoughts on that for people?
I loved it. Like, I was really big on it. We spoke about it last week, and I had a little issue, and I did have a little issue, but it turned out it was my little issue, and it wasn't the game. So I just want to resolve that here and now and not put anything on the game. I think there is a very, very small position that you need to find to just activate it in that room, to activate the volumetric scene in that room. And I think they know it's probably a wee bit small, and they might update it in the future. So I did tweet out a picture of exactly where you needed to stand, because I know some other people were having the same problem that I was having. But
nothing broken with the game, though.
Nothing's broken with the game. Yeah.
My experience of it, I haven't had any bugs at all. I think it's been a really polished game for me, what I've played of it so far.
But I loved it. It played out. The story was good. The mechanics were good.
Was it nice payoff at the end? Nice payoff at the end. Is it worth seeing through?
Definitely. But probably the last thing you need to do is probably it's not the worst puzzle in the game, but probably the end. Like, I don't want to spoil anything, but it's not really a puzzle. The last bit, everything else is a puzzle, and the last bit's more of a game. If that makes sense.
Oh, cryptic there.
But I don't know how I felt about that aspect because it felt more.
All right, it feels like I'll stop you there now because it feels like you're veering dangerously into what some people might consider spoilers.
So I don't want to go into spoilers, but
not know.
Overall, this is one of my favourite VR games yet. Like, because I love this type of game to begin with, and I think just from the presentation, the score, the puzzles, the voice performances, the acting, the overall acting performances, the atmosphere, the presentation, this just ticked so many boxes for me. I know some people had issues, but I had very few other than that one that I spoke about.
I'm so excited to get games like this because when we played the Room VR, we were like, we all absolutely loved it. All three of us loved it. And I think it would easily be in my top 10 games on PS VR2. But now this is out. I'm like, oh, this is like even better than the Room because this is like, it does everything the Room does, but it also has really good
story,
performances and a story, and it's got more atmosphere than the Room, but it's definitely got a lot more going on than the Room does. And it's like, oh no, this is what I said when I talked about the Room, is that I just love it even more if there was a story or something that was kind of more coherent, that was pulling you through it all, which is what this has now. So yeah, I can't wait to keep playing, to finish it and to see it through as well. How long would you say it took you to finish your?
About 6 hours maybe.
Okay, it's quite a decent size then for
VR
then.
then. I would need to check it. I had a very slight gripe, and not a gripe in any sort of on the game, but when I finished it, I couldn't go back and tidy anything up to get the platinum. It just, when I went into the save at the end, it just took me to the end bit. It wasn't like at a save point I could go back and explore, and whether that's how it was supposed to be or not, I'm not sure, but I was annoyed because I wanted to go and find the coins that I'd missed to get the platinum, and I couldn't. So I'd need to play it again, which I'm not averse to doing again at some point, because I really enjoyed it and I would play it again.
That seems silly to make someone go through and do find absolutely everything. Because I'm just trying to think, when you finish a Room, can you go back into it once you leave? You can. Yeah, it seems silly to not just drop you back in. Well, there you go. I'm sure you can reach out to the developers and ask them to
that's a
put
personal
an update
gripe. That's nothing about the game, to be fair.
No, well, I don't know, because I think a lot of people do want to platinum a game once they finish it. They want to just like, right, I now want to polish off all the last things that I've missed in it and stuff, and to get those coins, because that is quite a fun element of the game, is going around. And I can imagine if you finish the game before you go and do that kind of final, that final boss path, whatever it is that is going to end the game. The point of no return part, then you think, okay, I just want to go and just tidy up all the bits that I've missed. And there's a few little collectibles lying around. There's things you might have missed, recordings and stuff that you might not have fully played out, and coins and stuff. So yeah, it's a shame, because if you're playing it as you're going along, you might not realize that you need to find all these things. So, there you go. There's a warning there for anyone playing it, and just it's obvious the point where you're going to...
It does tell you a bit, like, do you have everything you need before you go in here? So there is a bit that it says that, and if you don't think you do have everything that you need, then that's the time to go back and find it.
Wow. Okay. That's a little useful tip there for any trophy hunters amongst our audience. Cool. Okay, well, before we get on to our final main topic of the day, then, I just want to let everyone know that if they want to support us, they can give this podcast a sub on the service they are using, and you can leave us a review too. Please do that, because that makes Ben really, really happy. We love it when we get reviews. He shares them all, he gets all excited. It's like, oh, look at this lovely thing someone's been saying about us.
He does.
And we all have a little cry. And you can follow us on Twitter at CrossbuttonVR and at the Crossplayers. And if you really want to show the love, you can do so via patreon.com/thecrossplayers, and for £2 a month you can join our Patreon and get all sorts of benefits as a patron. But the main benefit is to get entry into our lovely little WhatsApp group, where many fun times are had every day. VR the Champions, that's been going on this week, hasn't it?
It has. So
Can you sing for me?
We are the champions, my friend.
Nice.
Yes, I can. It's been a wee while since I've sang that song, but we have a little Halloween VR the Champions going on at the minute. So we've got, as you mentioned, one of the challenges is the spooky song from Synth Riders.
Yeah.
Even though Laurie completed it, he didn't submit a submission for VR the Champion.
It's fair to say I don't engage terribly well with
No,
VR champions.
he
I
doesn't.
don't really. Yeah. One
But
day I
some
might do
people do. So we've got that. We've got a little Pistol Whip because they've got the Elixir of Madness event on Pistol Whip as well. So we've got some Pistol Whip in there too. And we had planned a Walkabout Mini Golf Widow's Walkabout tournament, but I wasn't well, so I had to cancel it. So I will try and reschedule that for this week.
What a group of excellent VR Halloween updates there from some of our favourite games. And they really are. I think it's just three of our favourite games.
Three of our favourite games, yeah.
Yeah, three of our favourite games that have still getting updates on them. So yeah, if anyone is playing those games, wants to check out the spooky updates, and wants to jump into our Discord to show off what scores they've been getting, you can win bragging rights and earn the respect of the Cross-Button VR community in our Discord group. I'm sure there's some good players of the games out there. Cool. Right, final topic of the day then is the other big release, and that is Vampire: The Masquerade Justice. Now, this game, when does it come out, Alex?
2nd of November, so Friday.
You professional you are now. You should knew that, didn't you?
Thursday.
Thursday, close. And the reviews
still
for
the
this
second,
game,
just the wrong day.
The reviews for this game are dropping today. It's people are listening to this, so they are dropping this afternoon. So we cannot give a full review of the game, but we have been given permission to share our thoughts on the opening tutorial level, which is quite involved, quite a long tutorial section. So we've been playing the game. We've both played it, and we both really, really like this one, don't we?
This is the game we've been waiting for, Laurie, really, isn't it? Well, from the first level, it feels like
from the first level, I say we're not reviewing it. We're not in a position to review it. We haven't played enough of it to be able to review it. But from what the opening level of this game is very, very impressive. That's what I can say. That's all I can say right now. It's very impressive.
Yeah. Where do we start? The setting. I think we should probably start in the Venice setting because it's lovely.
Well, can I just say it's such a relief to play a game that is just polished and it's work, and it's I don't know if you quite call it a AAA game, but it feels like a really polished, well made. The strongest game released, I think, Phil, since maybe like Synapse came along, something which was really kind of polished and felt a much more of a full game, big experience, quality attached to it. So it's really nice to get that finally again now, because we've had a few games that we were hoping were going to be like that and just so we're going to miss. Was this one that they've really knocked out of the park? Yeah.
And honestly, this is all on the first level and the early impressions, but you can feel it use the power of the PSVR2. It does use full weighted rendering. It's 120 hertz refresh rate, no reprojection. And you feel it straight away because it looks so slick and runs so smoothly.
Set in Venice.
Yes,
and it's really great atmosphere of Venice. Made me think, why don't we get more games set in Venice? Such a great setting for video games. It looks really nice. You've got your canals, you've got the boats. It's all kind of misty, very kind of atmospheric. These sort of dark alleyways of Venice with canalways.
So well lit. I think that was one of the things that really hit me from the beginning. That the light and the reflections, like the quality and the detail there, like you notice it straight away, and you notice like, oh, this is a step up. It definitely feels like that.
Yep, for sure. And it plays out very similar to Dishonored. So anyone played Dishonored? I'm a huge fan of the first Dishonored game, and it has that same. Well, it's funny. It's got that blink mechanic, but of course, when I was playing, I was like, "This is kind of like loads of VR. This is just a teleport mechanic, but it puts it in a much more of a gameplay." It makes it make sense from a gameplay point of view, and that blink it works just like in Dishonored, where you kind of pick out where you want to blink to, and it just has that kind of teleport shift. But it's not an instant thing; it does it in a kind of sort of you whoosh to that point, and you can blink to attack enemies. If you kind of attack them, you can blink just above them, and your character will just kind of descend on them and take them out in a really kind of satisfying manner. You can sneak. you can sneak and you can grab enemies and you can grab them and pull them towards you and just literally just can drain them of their blood, which again is just horribly satisfying in a way. Ben, this is a feature that Ben wanted, and Ben's going to be happy with this.
Oh, he's got it. And
Yep,
he
he's got it.
did tease, Eric teased that mini game that came with the blood sucking, and you do get it. So basically,
Yeah, it's that sweet spot of where you can get out.
So you lean in to get their neck, and then you've got to like hold it, and there's a little bar that comes up, and you need to lean back at the right time, and then that maximizes the amount of blood that you get. But you can only suck the blood of live enemies. Like if you've already killed them, then that blood is forgone.
And rats, which is such a creepy. When you pick up a rat, and I was like, I've got to eat this. I was like, oh my god, here we go. And just to put the rat in your mouth and just drain the rat of its blood. It was just like, oh god, it's just really gross.
The first time you do it, you're a bit like, you're
kind of squeamish about it. It's like it is very kind of does make you feel squeamish because you're doing it's kind of obviously like a horrible kind of thing to do, but it just feels so, I don't know, horribly immersive. It's great.
Yeah.
But it has that the same sort of. So in the tutorial, it's all about teaching you the stealth mechanics. There's no weapons being given to you at that point, so we can't talk about how any of that shooting part of it plays. They did actually show though a gameplay trailer last week where they showed you, right, we're going to show you the same mission. We're going to do it stealthy, and then we're going to do it shooting and a bit more combat and a bit more aggressively. So they've shown that, and you can find that on their Twitter or on their YouTube to see how that plays out. But yeah, in the first level, it's teaching you all the stealth mechanics. And again, very Dishonored like. You can see the enemies can hear you. They get a little thing above their heads if they can detect you, and that fills up. And once they see you, in this first level, once they see you, they shoot you, and you're dead basically. You don't really get much of a chance to. There is a small window. I did manage to escape them once and hide from them, and managed to run inside an apartment and hide from them, but generally, if they see you, they'll take a couple of shots and you'll be dead. So it's very much a stealth game. You have to stay hidden. You don't really have much health initially, at least, but you do have a few tricks. You can blink, so you can take the high ground, and you can go around all of the balconies and the rooftops, which are brilliant stealth mechanics. You've also got a invisibility power that you can just make yourself invisible. As long as no one's seen you yet, you can go invisible, and you can sneak, and if you do that, the longer you do it, it drains it increases your hunger, so it makes you much more hungry. And once you, I don't know what happens when you fully max out your hunger. I've never got to that point, but you
just can't use like some of your abilities at that point. Essentially,
okay. Yeah, you have to kind of drain. So when you drain the blood, it gets your kind of vitality back up, plus your health as well. You've got your stamina meter, and then your health meter as well that you get back from doing that. And you've got a sort of vampire sense mode as well. You can click in the right stick or the left stick, and you can see points of interest, or you can see. So in the first level, there's a locked door, and you have to kind of, it's just locked by some electrical door that you have to then find where the source of that is and turn off the power and stuff. So it's very kind of video gamey, but it works really well in VR. It looks great. Yeah, really impressed.
Yeah, no, I completely am as well, and I don't tend to like stealth games. I'm very much a running all guns blazing, but there's something about, and this is probably the stealthiest VR game I've played to date, but there's something about playing it in VR that just feels really natural to be stealthy, like kind of sneaking up behind people, and so when you do that first, like in Blink takedown, when you're doing the mechanic, it's almost got like a little animation of you like hovering above them, going to take them down, and that first time you do it, you're like, wow, this is great. And then you've got like the different, so you've got the one you can hold in the X button, and that's when you go invisible, essentially. You've got your heightened senses to find out bits, and that's quite good for the heightened senses, that if you're activating that, it shows you basically the hearts of enemies around you, like the hearts beating, to get an idea of where they are. And they're different colours depending on if it's an enemy or whether it's just a resident of the city and not someone that's hostile towards you. And they're the ones that you can go and just take out. Well, that's what I've been doing. Maybe you're not supposed to do, but they're the easiest ones to just go and drink their blood because they're not going to attack you, so you can attack them. But you've got one of the other power-ups you do in the first level, and I can't remember what it's called now, but basically it's almost like you can drink their blood from afar, so it's a more attacking power-up. So if you're not trying to be stealthy, you can just do this really like violent attack to drink their blood from about 50 meters away, which is quite cool. but it just all plays really nicely. Like it's sorry, my headphones are falling off, and we wonder what I was doing. But it's. I really want to see how it goes because it feels quite rich in story as well. Like what
Yeah, I
you're
will
what you're
say
seeing
that
initially,
there
it
is
feels like it's set up well.
there's quite a detailed introduction and telling you stories, and I was like, how much of this is events from previous Vampire, the Masquerade games? Because you and I have got no experience with the series before, which I feel quite a bit guilty for now. Because I was like, this is not really good stuff here. I wish I knew more what was going on. And obviously, it's been designed as a standalone game. You don't need to know what's going on with it. It's a standalone story, but obviously the world of it and the context of the events and stuff and why you're in Venice. It does explain it, but a lot of it went over my head and stuff. So I hope they kind of explain it again in more detail at a bit of a slower pace. Or I might go and just read up on some or watch some YouTube videos that summarize the lore of the world of the Vampire Masquerade. Because it seems really cool, and it's the setup for this game is really strong, and I can tell it's going to be telling a quite a detailed story.
Yeah, there's a lot of big ticks in there.
Yeah, and I can't wait to see how well it reviews in a kind of wider sense, and how the rest of the game and stories play out. I can't wait to keep playing it, and do we have to come back on future weeks and to talk about more of the game?
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I just want to say massive well done to Fast Travel Games, because that's, if you just look at the last couple of weeks alone, like they're really like emerged as being a top tier VR developer. Not that they went before, but if you look at this, feels really solid. Ghost, I'm going to say Ghostwire, and that's not a Ghost Ship. The Stellaris game is Fast Travel, and that was excellent. Broken Edge was published. I think that was just published
Ghost
by them
Signal,
rather than developed by them. Yeah, and Ghost Signal. I don't know if Ghost Ship was a completely different game. My mind's just not here. It's Sunday night. That's why we do a Friday. Sunday night, my head just doesn't work. But they've really had a good run of things, and yeah, well done to those guys.
I it's just so good to play a game again that it feels so a cut above. I love all the kind of indie smaller games that we play and stuff, but it feels like there's lots of games out there that are sort of smaller scale games of VR, and they don't need to be too complex or too graphically amazing. And you've got games like Hubris that are graphically amazing and Red Matter, but they're quite kind of narrow in scope, and they're focusing on one thing and do one thing brilliantly. Or it might be like a small indie game that's got a kind of really fun mechanic, but the graphics are quite kind of basic, like things like Tentacular. But so to have a game that's got everything, it feels like a proper game. It plays just like say something like Dishonored, but it's doing everything well, and it looks really good, it works really well, it's in VR, it's got a story. It's just that, and just to take those gamey things you can do with stealth essentially and put it in VR and make it work really well. It's just so good to play a game that's just doing everything at that level, that it's not like, oh, it's good, but there's a few issues with it and stuff. I can't, there's nothing in that opening level that I felt that's just like, there's nothing here that isn't working, or that isn't working well, or that isn't contributing to the whole package. It all sounds really good. You're going through these apartments, and if you see an apartment, if you can go on the balcony, and there's so many doors that you can just kind of sneak into and then look around these apartments. And even though these apartments are completely optional, you can like open the wardrobes and look in drawers. It's just really detailed and really well made. You go through in that opening level quite a few different apartments, and they're all kind of feel quite realistic and stuff. It's just like this, it feels like it's on a different level to other stuff we've been playing, and it's such a relief to finally get something else like that on PSVR2.
Yeah. So hopefully you'll enjoy it. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, and I'm going to be looking forward to reading the reviews today, later on today, after this podcast has dropped, to see what people have had more time to play the game and get further the game and can give their full thoughts on it. But I'm confident that they're going to be saying nice things. Well, at least I hope so.
Well, if they're not, we are. So that's the main thing.
Yeah, and I mean, so it's all good there. So yeah, well, we'll keep playing it anyway, and we can report back where we can talk more freely on the rest of the game that we've played and more in-depth thoughts in future episodes. Until then, though, everyone, thank you again for listening. If you've enjoyed this episode, we'd love it if you could tell your friends and family about us, please. If you want to get more involved with the rest of our bunch of idiots, please do drop in to say hello into our Discord. Thanks to everyone that's done so already. And last but not least, please extend a huge thank you to all of our patrons for supporting the work we do. I've been your host, Laurie. He's been Alex. And we will see you again next time. Until then, it's goodbye.